Today, we're going to look at top 10 NFL defensive ends in the league. We're doing a part one here with honorable mentions and the first two of the top 10. So it is weird, but I would like to finish these videos. I know tomorrow's kickoff. I can still make these videos at least throughout the first week or something. I don't want to get it past week two and then I just kind of stall out because I would like to pay attention to all these games. I like to pay attention to all these teams and see what's going to happen. New stars will emerge, old stars will maybe redeem themselves, and some players will decline and exponentially and might not make a top 10, which they might have in this year, specifically what I'm talking about this past year. So, but overall, DNs, what are they known for? Sacking the QB. Um, Obviously, they're involved in run stops. They're involved in pass deflections. They've been involved in, forcing fumbles, forcing turnovers, right? And they're getting more athletic. They're getting bigger, and they're becoming more crucial to the game. Their athleticism is undeniable. They have great moves, finesse moves, and different kinds of moves, bull rush and swim. And just the way how some of these guys just bend, man. Some of these guys play this position is incredible. So we're gonna look at some of the best DNs that they do in this position. So DNs, they're very valuable. They're rated perfectly. I feel like people pay attention to DNs, but they don't actually see the art and how beautiful it is on how they have done with their job. So, overall, DNs. This is what we're talking about right now. This is the start of our defensive side of the football, finally. And here we go. We start off this honorable mention defensive end list with Trey Hendrickson, Cincinnati Bengal D end. Trey Hendrickson, um, some people might say he's perfectly rated. He's slightly underrated, man, in terms of what he does. He has a consistent motor. He's definitely one of the leaders of the Bengals defense. We all know the Bengals defense don't have that well known of names. They lost Jesse Bates the third, so that's tough. But Trey Hendrickson's going to have to step up. I think he will do that. He is a leader of this team. He's a leader of this defense, and Trey Hendrickson, ever since he's been a Saint, man, he's been showing what he's capable of, and he's capable of doing a lot. And like I said, high motor guy. Definitely got to look out for Trey Hendrickson. I think he's going to be fantastic. He's a dog, man. Trey Hendrickson, 28 years old, 6 years in the league, 3 years, $49 million. He has an out in 2024. That would be 7.83 million in dead cap. 15 games played and started. 3 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 8 sacks, 32 tackles, total tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 24 QB hits. The playoffs lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. With the 3 games, he had 2 tackles, 1 QB hit. Was a Pro Bowler. Again, he doesn't deserve to be top 10 yet. I would hope that he can because he is 28. So, time's dwindling down, and we could see him being a top 10 player for sure. But his impact is the reason why he's an honorable mention. He's relevant, and he is a nightmare for an offensive line. So, like I said, high motor guy consistently is trying to make the play and doesn't stop until the play ends. And so you got to put this guy here. He's a great player, and I hope to see more of him. And hopefully he has bigger numbers this year and can start all the games and play all the games. So very excited to see Trey Hendrickson this year. Next, we got D-Law, DeMarcus Lawrence, a guy that was top 10 DN definitely for a while. There's been a lot of DNs recently that have definitely stepped it up, and I can't deny their place into the league, and you can't deny D-Law's place. So he is honorable mention because of his relevancy. He's still an impact. He's a captain of this defense, man. He is the heart of the defense, man, and what he does is crazy. He's athletic, man. His potential is through the roof. Um, and I mean, he gets it done, man. He gets it done. He is a nightmare to match up against tackles with, and he will get to the QB, man. He will do what he can. His motor, high motor, Great athleticism with his bending and with his finesse moves, with his power moves. So overall, I really enjoy watching D Law. I hope more of him, and I hope that he continues to get better numbers, and we can see him back in the top 10 list. He is a veteran, 31 years old, 9 years in the league. He's got 2 years, $25 million left on his deal. So we'll see what happens after that. Will a contending team get him, or will Dallas, who I'm not saying is not a contending team, can they keep him and try to maybe put pieces around him so he doesn't have to work insanely hard all the time? 17 games played and started, 3 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 for touchdown, 6 sacks, 65 total tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 13 QB hits in the playoffs. Lost the divisional against the Niners in the 2 games. He had 1 sack, 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. He was a Pro Bowler. Again, another guy that deserves to be in this area. And I hope that he can be top 10 again. I do believe it might be of age that he is definitely running low on stamina and energy, but his numbers are still amazing. It's just the amount of DN talent is insane. So give it up for him, man, and I hope he continues to be what he can be, and that's just being the best Dallas defender there, besides maybe a Trayvon Diggs. But D Law is the heart of that defense, and he continues to impact his team. Next up, we got Leonard Williams. It's really hard to find a clip from him. There's been clips from him in the past, but I'm not going to bring up past highlights, which he's done in other seasons. We're talking about the current season. So I could only find 1 game against the Texans where he's mic'd up. I'm not going to do the mic'd up version there. But I just want you to see from the video of the type of potential, the type of impact he has. Even if he doesn't get to the QB, even if he doesn't get all the tackles, he's there. He's making the plays. He's there. He's strong, strong, strong DN, man. Definitely be carrying his tackles around, making the tight ends look like little kids. Just he hasn't had the year that he's had in the past, so it's hurt him. But I think he can go back to that, and I think he can have potential being a top 10 player again. Again, it could be age and it's injuries, but Leonard Williams is impactful in many ways against the run, against the pass, and like I said, he can get there. He can get to the QB. Just he hasn't had that much success this year. Leonard Williams, 29 years old, 8 years in the league, 1 year, $18 million left on his deal. 12 games played and started, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 2.5 sacks, 45 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 12 QB hits in the playoffs. They lost to the Eagles in the divisional in the 2 games. He had 1 pass deflection, 6 tackles, 2 QB hits. No Pro Bowl, no accolades, but he's still there. He's still relevant. He's still very important. He's still fun to watch, and I hope more of him, and I hope that he can continue to put on a show for us and get better this year and have his sack total rise up, and hopefully his stock of his value rise up. Next up, we got Josh Sweat. This is an Eagles defensive line that's so deep, it's kind of insane. They don't have Javon Hargrave anymore. They have the Georgia boys and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I do believe that'll be impactful. I do believe they will be scary again this year. Their defense will definitely probably have the most sacks in the league. I mean, just the way that they raise these guys, man, the way that they train them. So tough, so hard. Pretty much trained to kill, man, in a way. Trained for Sunday to go 150% and make sure that you wear your opponent out and destroy the QB. And it's tough football. It's great football. It's great for the game. It's great to see. Josh Sweat is one of the many defensive lineman players that I'm probably going to announce for Philly, man. And he is young. He's impactful, and I think he's going to get more snaps this year. I think he'll definitely be having a high sack ratio, I believe. I do believe he'll have his numbers up. I think he has ability to be top 10 DN in the league, man. I mean, just his impact. It helps when you have so many defensive um, in terms of defensive giants, right? But overall, I mean, he's one of those guys that you should not overlook, and I think he gets overlooked. Josh Sweat, he is 26 years old, 5 years in the league. He's got 2 years, $26 million left in his deal. 16 games played and started. One interception, 42 yards, and a touchdown. One pass deflection. One forced fumble. 11 sacks. 48 tackles. 15 tackles for loss, 23 QB hits in the playoffs. Lost to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs to the Chiefs. In the 3 games, he had a forced fumble, 1.5 sacks, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 4 QB hits. No accolades, but will he be a Pro Bowler? Yes. Can he be an All Pro? Most definitely. Just he needs time. He needs to continue to improve it. He needs to continue to improve as a ball player, and I think he will. Josh Sweat, very, very dynamic player, and he's going to be one of those guys, man, that you want to look out for this year. The last honorable mention that I have is based on a guy that's been in this league forever, but still impacted his team, regardless of if he started or not, man. Brandon Graham has been amazing. Again, one of the part of the deep defensive line that they have. Brandon Graham was still able to have double-digit sacks this year. That's the impact that this defense has had this year. Brandon Graham, a captain, man, a leader, a mentor for this team. Definitely, I know he hypes them up. I know he's made them all better. That's why Josh Sweat's here relevant. I think Brandon Graham's helped them along the way tremendously. And I mean, you can't get rid of this guy, no matter what. If you start him or don't, he's still impactful. He still gets it done, and he is a Super Bowl champion after all. Probably will be in the Hall of Fame for the Eagles. I'm not sure about National Football League. It's pretty hard to get into with how they rate their players and the stats, alone. So, but overall, Brandon Graham's got so many tools, man. And he's still going to be impactful this year. He's still relevant. He's still got to be on this list. He is 35 years old. He has played 13 years in this league. 2 years, $6.5 million deal that they made with him in Philly this past off season. So great sign for them to keep him. 17 games played, one started, one pass deflection, two forced fumbles, 11 sacks, 35 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 16 QB hits in the playoffs. Again, they lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl in the 3 games that he played but not started. He had one sack, 3 tackles, one tackle for loss, one QB hit. He was fourth in the Comeback Player of the Year award, and rightfully so. Got injured and still came back and did what he had to do and got 11 sacks. It's amazing. Again, impactful player, franchise player, future Eagle Hall of Famer, and you got to give this guy his roses, man. He's still there. He's still relevant. So I only got time for 2 of them, but that's why there's a part 2, right? So we'll be getting the rest done. But number 10, Von Miller, Hall of Fame, defensive end. Unfortunately, suffered another injury to his knee, and that might be, well, it's already starting to see the downcline of him. But this might be it for Von Miller. This might be his last year. Unless he shows me something and he continues to be healthy, it'd be nice. I don't want to see him go. I love Von Miller for years of just terrorizing QBs and terrorizing linemen, terrorizing running backs. I mean, he's relentless force. Um, just a big dude that is so athletic with how he moves, man, and he will get there. He will get through the line to get to you, and that's on that people have always been fearful of game planning for was Von Miller. Again, a Super Bowl champion. I mean, he showed his true aspect there and of a sack artist, and it's gained recognition through the years. He's been just amazing without it, with his skills. 34 years old, 12 years in the league, 5 years, $100 million left on his deal with Buffalo. I don't believe he will play that contract throughout because of the injuries. He has a 2025 potential out with 15.41 dead cap for Buffalo. 11 games he played and started, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 8 sacks, 21 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 12 QB hits. Didn't play in the playoffs, even though they made it because of the knee injury. He hasn't started yet. He's probably not. He's going to miss some time this year, but I do believe full health. He's still one of the best at his position. He's number 10, cracking that top 10 still. He's still relevant. Still a great DN. Still a great football player. He's a Hall of Famer, and I hope to see him soon. I hope he's healthy, and I hope he produces what he does, because Buffalo's championship window isn't closed, but it'd be nice for them to kind of step forward with that. And I think Von Miller would be a pretty vital piece to their championship team. Number 9, Cameron Jordan. Another guy, another veteran D end whose swim move is so crazy, man. It is almost unblockable. He just uses it at such a fast paced speed, and he can get off the line so quick, and the way that he just continues to attack until he gets to the QB, to the running back, plays every single play with full effort out there. He's a player that has endless motor, and especially for a guy that's in his mid 30s about to be, he still has that impact, and you gotta love it. You gotta love the effort from him. You gotta love how much of a big time player he is, and I mean, with the years, we'll see the decline of him, but I mean, right now, I think he's doing great. He is definitely in the opposite scope of Von Miller. Um, Yes, he doesn't get as enough, numbers wise as he once did, but I mean, he's still effective. He's still impactful. He's still a leader in that defense of the Saints, and the Saints have a really underrated defense. They're going to do some great things out there this year. They might not be a great football team at the end of the day, probably for playoff wise, but I think they'll be in contention just because the South is really weak, but also their defense is it's pretty nice, man. Pretty nice. They have some superstars in there, and their offense isn't terrible. Derek Carr might just find himself the new home of New Orleans and become a comeback player of the year and throw for a tremendous amount of yards and get this team to a possible playoff berth. Right? Cameron Jordan, though, 34 years old, 12 years in the league, 3 years, $42.31 million left on his deal, 16 games played and started, two forced fumbles, two pass deflections, 8.5 sacks, 66 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 13 QB hits, Pro Bowler. Didn't make the playoffs. Saints did not go, but it's Cam Jordan, man. You can't deny his ability, his talent, and yeah, he's higher than Vaughn just because of the health wise, and I still think he has a lot left in the tank. I think he's got at max 3 years, I believe, but he's he's a great pass rusher. He's someone you need to know about, and someone that you need to continuously talk about, and he's top 10 worthy, definitely in this league right now. Number 9 is a perfect place for him, especially with the potential and the youth that has come through this position currently.